Dynamite download.
I think we should talk about, the biggest elephant in the room is, what's going to happen with Cody. I haven't heard too much since, Arn kind of talked about it with in Coach's Corner, but is there an update on how severe it is? Has Cody came out and updated us? Do you guys know anything about that?
Well, finger on the pulse. I mean, we all have heard the rumors that he has a torn rotator cuff, and I know, if you know what kind of timeline that is, it's certainly it does not sound good for Revolution. So, we were just chatting about the impact of what would happen if Santana Ortiz were to win, and how that match would play out at Revolution. Man, there's a huge match that's planned for Revolution and featuring Cody.
Mm-hmm.
AEW is really good at pivots, but they don't have a ton of time for this. I think that they kind of had some curveballs thrown their way when Brandy was announced with her pregnancy, and I think that there were some things that were planned there between Brandy and Jade. Man, poor Jade. We're all chomping at the bit to see her. This big match that she's planned for right now, losing Cody in that is going to definitely change the dynamic of that match.
It will, but I think she's going to come out just fine. Regardless of who you put in that match, I think she's going to come out looking like a star. But yes, Cody, I mean, if you just look, I was thinking about this the other day. I'm like, who he's put over. I mean, he put MJF over, Wardlow essentially kind of establishing how good he is. Brody Lee, Ricky Starks, Eddie Kingston. Darby, he's put so many people over, and he's so good at that. He's so good in the ring. And this would have been just a perfect, another notch in the belt of putting someone else over. So,
man,
I think so. The key question here we got from you guys is that's funny, Mindrunner, the Dukes of Jacksonville. Here we go.
I love that.
Who would you replace if replacement is needed? All signs pointing towards that in the Shaq and Jade match versus Red Velvet / question mark at this point. Would you have an established someone on the roster? Would you bring in a surprise guest? What would you do if if you had to book it right now, if you're Tony Khan sitting in the war room right now and having to book it, who would you book for his replacement?
Man, that's tough. I think that if I'm going on just because there's not a lot of time and there's somebody that you could put there that's a big star like Cody, I want to put Dustin in the match.
Makes sense.
Because Dustin,
I was thinking that too.
Bigger than Cody. He would obviously he's not as big as Shaq, but it would be another big guy against Shaq. You would be able to say, like, okay, Cody's in the corner. Maybe have Cody ringside the whole time.
It makes sense.
Do something like that where you have him still involved in the match, but you have Dustin replace him, or you have somebody else in the Nightmare Family do the same thing. But
yeah, Dustin's a great call. I mean, I think Dustin's a great call because he's a pro. You throw a curveball at him like this, and he'll be able to knock it out of the park. The dude is a total pro. I also thought Shoddy Lee Johnson, even though that's such a different dynamic than Cody. Shoddy, think about it. I mean, AEW has pushed very much like inclusivity, and like we don't see that very often in professional wrestling, where you'd have a main match like this featuring four people of color like that in a great showcase. So I think that would be great. I think that would be a great thing, especially with like getting the eyes on the product with Shaq coming in. I think that could be very interesting. And it would only further, like, I think a lot of the big goals that this company has. But Lori Lori mentioned the AEW Heels Zoom call tonight that Cody didn't look like he was worse for wear. So let's hope, fingers crossed, that Cody is doing okay. Obviously, he is the cornerstone of this company, and I mean that dude is a total workhorse. So let's hope that this match can continue on.
I agree too, and I think what you said, Mindrunner. I mean, booking by Mindrunner, booking by Bonds. We've got some A+ bookers here that really ride those waves. I think AEW would be gold for many weeks and months and years to come. But I do like the Dustin. It would be an easy transition, saying, the bloodline, the brother, and all this and that.
Yeah.
And, easy to tie in with Brandy. Lee Johnson is the hot commodity at this point just because they're coming off the win and all that stuff. But it makes way more sense for Dustin because he's such a polished, he can sell Shaq. He can ride off Shaq. Shotty Lee is a little bit still green, but the future is bright, but he could tell such a great story. And he's proven that for 4 decades or however many decades he's been in the ring. So I would be actually I would not be mad at all with Dustin in the ring with Shaq and Red Velvet and Jade, because I could just imagine Jade just like laying into him and the selling that Dustin would do. And he's
a safe worker. And you can trust him in the ring with somebody who like Shaq, even though Shaq's perfected that black tornado. I think that
I don't even know what that is.
It's like a Judas effect, I think, from what I saw. I think that you could trust that match, especially given how important it is with all the eyes that are going to be on it. You could really trust that it's going to go smoothly with a pro, like with an expert in the ring. And like you said, SPD, a mind for the business, a smart worker like Dustin. That's a good call.